question 1, it says to change the following properties of the figure's shadow. First thing we're going to do is activate the shadow. It says the blending mode should be soft light. Your blending mode is located where your opacity is. If you click on the button called opacity, you'll see something that says normal. That is called your blending mode. Find soft light and put the opacity to 86% and hit enter. The next question has you matching type with its definitions. The first one says adjust the baseline of the text along a graphic shape. That is type on a path. Text that automatically flows when text frame is adjusted is area type. Text that automatically distorts when the text frame is adjusted is point type. And lastly, this is useful when an object or graphic is placed in front of a body of text. That is text wrap. The next question says you are designing an iPad for an iPad Pro, and you need to make it accessible in both portrait and landscape orientations. It tells you to change the artboard name iPad layout to landscape orientation. To do that first, you're not going to have anything activated so that your properties panel looks like this. You're going to hit the word edit artboards, click on the artboard named iPad layout, and you're going to control the orientation here, portrait or landscape. It should suddenly look wider than it is tall. That's all you have to do for that question. The next one here asks you to make a scatter brush. So first thing we're going to do is pull up our brush panel by going up to Window, Brushes, selecting your artwork, adding a brush, and putting in the settings. The final thing we need to do is apply this brush to both lines. To do that, we're going to activate the line, hit the brush, activate the next line, hit the brush we made. It should look like this when you are done. The next question has to do with file extensions when you export. When you export in Illustrator, the options are SVG, PNG, and PSD. For this next question, it says you're using the background layer to create contrast while designing an infographic, but do not want it to print. Make the background layer non-printable without using outline mode. To do that, you're going to your Layers panel. You're going to double click next to the word that says background, whatever the layer's name is. You should get an option here. You're going to uncheck print and press OK. When you do that, that means this layer will not print. It's just visible while you work. Next question has to do with something called text wrap. You want to use an 18-point offset. To do this effect, you have to select both options first. Go up to Object, Text Wrap, hit the word Make. You're going to hit OK. But right now, we don't know if that number is the correct number. The offset is the space between the shape and the type. We're going to go back one more time to Object, Text Wrap Options, and make sure that this is set to 18, or whatever the number on the test requires. The next question has to do with additive or subtractive color. The RGB model of the color mode is additive, whereas the CMYK is subtractive. This question says trace the image using the black and white logo preset. Make the lines thicker by adjusting the threshold of the trace image to 180. You're going to need your image trace panel, so we're going to go up to Window, Image Trace, select the image, hit the preset, find black and white, and then type the threshold of 180. That's all you have to do. The next question asks you to change the color of the work area layer to cyan. To change the settings for a layer, we double click on the layer itself. We want to hit the color here and find the color cyan. For the following question, it says use one corner point, match the logo to the reference sketch. Do not add or remove any anchor points or objects. So we're going to be using our direct selection tool. We're going to click on the bottom point. I'm going to zoom in so I have more control. I'm only dragging this bottom point downward and then pulling in the handles of this anchor point. Make sure you are relying on your reference sketch. On the real test, it's called, I think, an exhibit. It just means like the visual aid. Next question says to create a guide from the object below. In order to do that, you're going to activate your object first. Go up to the View menu, scroll down to the word Guides, and hit Make Guides. You know that you did this right when it turns this nice bright blue. The next question has to do with your print shop quality artwork being suitable for framing. They ask your images to be exported at 300 ppi, and you want your images to be 4 inches by 10 inches. We're doing a little math here. We're going to times 4 by 300 and then 10 by 300. That's going to give us 1200 by 3000 pixels. And no matter what the number is, you times the width by the resolution and then the height by the resolution. The next question tells you to change the document color mode to CMYK for printing and then change the resolution. To do that, we're going to go up to File, Document Color Mode, hit CMYK. Then to change the resolution, we're going to go to Effect, Document Raster Effect Settings, hit Medium. Question 15 says position the red rose symbol from the flower symbol library on either side of the shape below. First, let's pull up our symbols. You go to Window, scroll down to the word Symbols. We're going to go to the library, which is the bottom left corner. Find the one that says Flowers. We hover our mouse over the images. It will tell us what it's called. It says red rose, and we're just dragging one. It doesn't say to resize, and it says on either side, so it's left or right, not both. The next question tells you to make a new document with specific settings. To make a new document, you go to File, New. This is saying that you're designing graphics for the web, so you should go to your web presets up on the top. It says the name should be web design and the preset should be minimum. So I'm going to find the one that says minimum. I'm going to name this web design. It also says there should be 4 artboards. Most of these settings are available here. And any setting that's not available, if I scroll down on this little thing on the right, I'll see something that says more settings. Here I should be able to get more specific. So spacing should be 30 and column should be 2. Hit Create Document. Now for exams in this class, you have to submit this file. When you're taking the real test, you can just hit Next on your question. The following question says select the stars in a single step using one tool. Anytime you see a question that says single step or one tool with color, we're going to be using the magic wand. The quick key is the letter Y. We should be able to click on one star and the rest of the stars should be selected. Then it says to change the fill color. My recommendation is to double click on the bottom part of your toolbar, and you can add CMYK values here on the right. Press OK. And now I was able to change all of those things at the same time with one single tool. The next question says use the image below as the base color. Create a new color group in your swatches panel that uses monochromatic harmony color guide. The key word to this question is the word color guide. We're going to pull up our color guide panel by going up to Window, Color Guide, selecting the red, making sure that this is actually set to red because you see it's still yellow. I'm going to click once on that square on the upper left-hand corner, drop down this arrow, make sure I am on the version that says monochromatic, and lastly, I have to click on this button all the way on the bottom, Save Color Group to Swatches. That means those colors were saved. And if I want to double check, I'm going to go to Window, Swatches, and do you see the set of red is right down here? That means I did it right. The next question is talking about which aspect of the design process that's illustrated in the infographic. And this is called iterative design, where you have different iterations of concepts because you're modifying and changing them. The next question has to do with matching design terms to the image that resonates. Radial symmetry is usually shown through something like a starfish. Texture should be focused on an up-close image where you really see the texture here in the shell, and a focal point is where your eyes are naturally drawn in an image. The next question is one that most people forgot. It says to remove all straight points from the document. This is under Object, Path, Clean Up. You should have an option to delete straight points. Press OK. It doesn't look like anything's changed, but all the extra little points in the document are removed. The next question says to group the squares based on their color, name the groups, and then hide them. So most people go back to the magic wand, but I actually think this one works better with selecting the purple or whatever color, going up to Select Menu, hitting the word Same, and hitting Fill Color. Everything that's purple in the document will be selected. Then you can go to Object Group or Control G. I'm going to repeat the same steps for the yellow. And the green. Okay. Last step I need to do is name these groups. So I'm going to activate them, open up my layers panel, yellow, and purple. It says to hide the green group, so we know if we hit the little I next to the color green, the layer green, it will just hide the group for us. The next question has to do with showing and editing a grid. In order to do that, we need our Properties panel open, and we need nothing selected. If I have something selected, my Properties panel will change. I don't want anything selected, so the focus is on the document settings. There should be a little button where it says rulers and grids. Click to show grid. And then in order to change the size of the grid, you want to go down to your preferences, go to guides and grids here on the left, and insert this number. 5 inches for the grid line, 8 for the subdivisions. The last step of this question says to adjust the position of the square group so that it aligns with the grid. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to move this down so that it's lined up with those lines. The last question of the test here says use a function that will crop the image background on the texture layer. So what we're talking about here is a clipping mask, right? Because the shape of the cloud is being clipped to the texture. In order to do that, we need our layers panel. We need to go to the layer that says texture. On the bottom part of our layers panel, there is a little button that says make a release clipping mask. That's all we have to do for that.